Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 6 of the Dragon Radar podcast. I am Heeroh, joined by Ajoten. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Very well. How's yourself?
I'm also doing well. And I'm ready for a discussion.
As always.
As always. So let's get started with the podcast with Roshi's Rant.
This is Roshi's Rant.
So this is Roshi's Rant, this section of the podcast where we deep dive into a particular topic. And this week, we're going to make some things up. We're talking about filler arcs. And specifically, we're going to talk about specific filler arcs that we think should happen after the Tournament of Power. So, of course, in anime, the Tournament of Power is just finished. And that's kind of where it's left off. We have the movies, but there's probably going to be a little bit of filler before they delve into that, if they do bring the anime back. So we're just going to be talking about what we think should happen next. So I know you've had to think about what you want to happen. So do you want to go first and just talk about your idea?
Yeah, I think mine's a little bit of an odd one. It's just kind of a background lore filler one for me. Because obviously the Tournament of Power introduced to a lot of new people all at once. And I think we've talked previously about how, especially for instance, the Pride Trip is where you got introduced to a lot of people very quickly, and we didn't get a chance to meet a lot of them. So for mine, really, I would want Universe 7, so the champions, to go on almost a victory tour to the each of the universes.
Okay.
And meet maybe the destroyers of each, and the and basically be able to talk to each universe, maybe each universe per episode, or the less interesting, or the universes that weren't as engaging. They would maybe do a couple in a particular episode, but the ones where you've got like Universe 11 with Jiren and Toppin and everyone, then they would spend an episode in there, and you'd get to know a bit more about them. And things like that. And we basically, so it would be quite a short arc, or you could have Piccolo being introduced a bit more to the Universe 6 Namekians, and you could see the difference between, obviously, the Namekians, if they have different histories, lore, things like that. You could have Gohan, obviously, had that big fight with Obni, and he defeated him, and that meant that Universe 10 got eliminated. But they obviously had a moment where Obni was saying that, like, I was glad to meet you, but I'm fighting for my universe. I have to eliminate you. And they basically had like a warrior moment before Gohan eliminated him. And it would be nice to see them talking afterwards. So it's quite a simple filler arc, but it would be nice to flesh out all of these universes rather than and you could see like some small fights, some small matches within that to say, like, I don't know, maybe Caulifla go up against Vegeta or something like that, just as a little sparring match, or something, or a bit more of you could have Vegeta finally meeting the king of Universe 6, something like that. There's loads of opportunities for those promises to be fulfilled and things like that, because he keeps saying, like, he literally made this huge thing. Vegeta made this huge speech to Goku during the kind of empowered his Ultra Instinct, and really we need to follow through at some point with that. I'd like to see that. Like, I would really like for Vegeta to meet the king of Saiyans, and I think just something simple, but it was something I'd like to see. I think it would be filler that has a purpose, and it would mean that when we eventually do come back to these characters, because I think we will. I don't think we've seen the last of Top or Jiren or anyone like that. I'd be very surprised if we have.
Yeah.
We know a bit more about them, so it actually means something. They're not just coming back and it's like, oh, you're that guy we beat, I don't know, 20 arcs ago. It's like, oh, that character actually means something to me now.
Yeah.
So I think it's something simple that I'd like to see.
Yeah, especially like some of the characters you mentioned there, like the other Namekians and stuff. They aren't main characters that were introduced. Like, they're not on the level of Jiren or Hit or Kaba, that type of thing. But they're interesting enough characters where they can build a mini story around them. Same with even like Ribrianne. Even though I'm not a fan of her or that entire universe, if I'm honest, but it'll be interesting just to see their world and their universe, to see what it's like and how different it is from Earth, especially since everyone's all about love and all that stuff. And yeah, I would like to see. I completely agree, and I would be fine with this filler arc, just like a victory tour of the universes. Because there's also bound to be some universes that are extremely unhappy still with the fact that the tournament happened in the first place, so you can easily get some fights in there. Maybe some sneak attack fights, that type of thing. And I'm sure, a lot of new allies will be made. Enemies becoming friends, just like Goku does with everyone, just about. So yeah,
Frost and Frieza. Frost will be holding a grudge, and Frieza may be made to come with. I mean, it's plenty powerful people. You can't. The Grandmaster. If the Grandmaster says Frieza has to come, Frieza can't say no.
Yeah, exactly.
So like. Yeah.
Especially because no one's going to really want Frieza to go off on his own if he's back alive again. So they're going to want to keep him around. But yeah, it would be interesting. I would like that. I have no problems with that at all. Yeah.
And I think, like I said, there's not that many universes, and you can the smaller universes where they're not really that interesting. They didn't get that much engagement. They got knocked out quite quickly. You could put a couple in per episode and just focus more on the bigger ones. So it wouldn't have to be a big arc, but you would get some time in. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, even then, wasn't there only 8 universes in the Tournament of Power? 10 fighters each? Or was it 6? Was it 6 universes?
10, 6 I can't remember exactly, but there wasn't like 10. I know there was.
Yeah, there wasn't 10.
It was up to 11 because Jiren was Universe 11, but there wasn't 11 in there.
Yeah.
Because there was obviously the ones that were kicked out for being too strong.
Either way, you can easily just have one universe per episode, and I think, since the episodes are like 20 minutes, you can easily flesh out 20 minutes per episode, per universe. That would be fine. And having a 8 to 10 episode filler arc, yeah, that could work.
They've definitely done longer filler arcs than that.
Definitely, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, and I have nothing bad to say about it, or no extra ideas. I guess I can talk about my idea. So my idea isn't actually a full arc, it's maybe just a 1 or 2 episode thing, which, if anything, could happen right before your idea for an arc. And what my idea is everything that happened on Earth whilst everyone was away at the Tournament of Power. But it's like a 2 episode mini arc. Because the only people left on Earth at this point are Goten and Trunks, pretty much. Everyone else has went away to the Tournament of Power. So, Earth's kind of wide open for an attack right now.
They're babysitting the park rangers, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. So they hear a lot of rumbling in the distance, and they fly back to Capsule Corp to see what's going on, ask Bulma if she knows anything, that type of thing. And Yamcha's there too, because of course Yamcha didn't go away, and Yamcha's saying like, okay, look kids, there isn't any other adults around, I'll go with you, let's go check it out. So this mini arc is just Yamcha, Goten, and Trunks. Okay, these are my main characters for this arc. And they go investigate and see what's going on. They hear that a village is being terrorized, and they go check it out. And when they get there, it's pretty empty, the village. And, they hear screaming in the distance. They go try and figure it out. They turn a corner, and there's just a figure. And old school fans will straight away know who this is. But it's revealed, and it's Monster Rabbit. He's back. He came back from the moon. He managed to get down from the moon, and he's back. He's still got his sunglasses. He's turning people into carrots yet again. And yeah, it's like, what? Monster Carrot's back.
This is a very old school reference, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, they've done it before. They brought back Arale to completely destroy Vegeta and Goku in their Super Saiyan Blue forms. And
I thought you were going to go with Launch when you first said this figure.
No, not Launch. Although Launch would always be good to come back. Have a mini story with NTN again. But no, it's Monster Rabbit. And he's back on Earth. He's turning people into carrots, and Yamcha is like, "Wait, I remember you," because obviously Yamcha was there at the time, and he's seen everything that went on. He was involved, and he tries to. He warns both Goten and Trunks, "Don't let him touch you. You'll turn into a carrot if he touches you." And so they're all prepared, and Yamcha decides, "Okay, just stay back. I've dealt with him before. I'll deal with this." And of course, because it's Dragon Ball, and Yamcha's made it into a joke at every available opportunity, he gets turned into a carrot. It's unavoidable. He doesn't put up any sort of a fight, and he's turned into a carrot. And then Goten and Trunks are left there just like, what are we supposed to do? Yamcha's been turned into a carrot. There's this random giant rabbit guy with sunglasses terrorizing people.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, what do we do? So they try ki blasts, and that doesn't work because Monster Carrot explains that since he's been away on the moon for this whole time with lower gravity, he's managed to get stronger and faster, and he can jump higher because of the lower gravity. He's learned how to jump even higher than he used to be able to. So he's very capable of dodging ki blasts with ease. So Goten and Trunks are kind of out of options again because they're thinking, well, we can't touch him. The ki blasts aren't working. What should we do? So they decide, let's do the fusion dance. Let's become Gotenks. It makes us faster. We can figure out something here. So they do the fusion dance, and it fails. They turn into skinny Gotenks, the one with hardly any energy, who is very skinny, can't really move much, and they're kind of stuck. And they're like, oh no, this is bad. And Monster Carrot realizes that they can't really move, and he decides to just taunt them by launching the carrot missiles at them. The only thing is, this backfires. And, Gotenks grabs the carrots with the tiny energy they have and starts eating them. All of them. Just all of these carrot explosions that are coming at them. They're catching them, they're eating them. And you can see Gotenks is slowly getting buffer. And he turns into normal Gotenks. He gets his power back. And that's the way they kind of defeat the fusion time limit of being stuck skinny. By eating all of these carrots to get strong. It's a good message for the kids. Eat your vegetables. And yeah, they turn super powerful again into normal Gotenks, as everyone loves to hate, kind of. And Monster Carrot, as soon as he sees the speed, just gives up. There's not a fight. There's anything too special. Monster Carrot isn't a fighter. He does the carrot explosions. He turns people into carrots. He's not a fighter, though. So there won't be a fight, and it doesn't make sense, because as soon as Monster Carrot touches them, it would turn into a carrot anyway. So he gives up, and, they ask him to turn Yamcha back into a human, which he does. And then he just starts pleading, like, please don't send me back to the moon. And Gotenks is like, what are you talking about? The moon? Why would he send you to the moon? And so they decide to transport him to Kami's lookout, and Dende and Mr. Popo are up there with Monster Rabbit. And Gotenks is just like, what are we supposed to do with him? And so Mr. Popo says, put him in the time chamber. So they put him in the time chamber, lock the door, and Monster Carrot is again stuck in a void, unable to escape. And that is my filler arc.
You put a lot of thought into this filler. Lot more than me.
I put a lot of thought into it because I was thinking, it'll be fun to see a character who no one expects to appear again. And why not bring back Monster Carrot? He's somehow a bit stronger. Maybe they change his look a little bit, make him a bit thinner since he's been working out on the moon. Who knows? And yeah, Yamcha's made into a joke again. Gotenks is the savior, and everything ends with Monster Carrot being stuck yet again. And they're probably not going to use the time chamber for a long, long, long time, so it's a worry for another day when they think about releasing them. Who cares? So yeah. That's
I like it. It's definitely a throwback.
Yeah, definitely.
A throwback.
100%. Because they can just, all of the stuff with Yamcha, knowing who Monster Carrot is, they can have some funny interactions there. Gotenks not having a clue what's going on and why there's so many carrots all over the place. And yeah, I think
the thing is, because the kids as well, interacting with a bunny and everything like that, they're the sort of people that you would expect to have better interactions with them.
Exactly.
It's like it's the sort of ridiculous you would expect from Dragon Ball.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then of course, you know, if that happens in like a 2-episode span or whatever, you know, because like these filler episodes usually last like just 1 or 2 episodes at most, so that can be easily done. And then your arc can happen straight after that, you know. Everyone comes back to Earth, they start planning their victory parade and all that stuff, and yeah.
It seems they can be landing back home as soon as your arc finishes.
Yeah,
basically, your episode's finished.
Yeah, or even better, link them two together. Like they take him up to the lookout, and that's when everyone arrives back on Earth. And Goku's like, "What? Monster Carrot?" And he puts him back on the moon, and then that's it.
Yeah,
Monster Carrot's back
he
on the moon.
sees him, panics, and puts him back on the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing here? Bong.
Yeah, and then that's it. Ended just like that. Yeah, I think it'd be funny. But yeah,
I like the amount of thought you've put into it. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
just the right amount of ridiculousness for Dragon Ball.
It is. Yamcha's made it a joke again, which not too pleased. But if this type of thing was to happen, it probably would happen like that. So you know, it is how it is, and this would be the best time to do it when no one else is around. So why not? And yeah,
fair.
I kind of just want to see.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Devastated. Want to see them both?
Yeah, I want to see them both. I think the tour of the universe will be really, really good, and a lot of interesting fights or interactions could happen there between a lot of different people. So yeah, all for it.
I think it's a shame we won't see a lot of, or even won't ever see a lot of the characters that we've seen. We won't ever get to hear a lot more about them. I don't ever think we'll see them Namekians ever again.
Probably not. No.
All
of pretty much all of the mechanical universe I doubt we'll ever see again. Yeah, there's a lot of
we'll ever hear Omni again.
Yeah,
like Universe 10. Like, yeah, it's a shame. I don't even know when we would see Universe 11 again. Like, it would probably have to be if they needed a strong team to help them beat somebody.
Yeah.
I
mean,
we'll see.
Yeah, I'm confident we will see Kaba, Kale Caulifla hit again. And definitely Jiren and Toppo, 100%. Apart from those main ones, though, I haven't got high hopes for many others. But we'll see.
I think, the Foxy trio are gone. Like,
yeah.
And Basil and that, I think they're done. I think they've had their moment in the sun.
We did, because they also had their own episode as well, where it was just them, I guess. So they've kind of been spoiled a bit. We don't need more of them. There's not much else to be able to add.
Yeah, I think they've served their purpose. Like, yeah, they were the mini villains, and that's it.
Yeah, and we've seen enough transformations from Ribrianne and the girls and the guys of that universe, so we don't need to go through all of that again. Definitely not.
Yeah, basically, I think we've just seen the most of them.
Yeah,
but hey,
that's our filler arcs. So, what do you think? Leave a comment if you want to see them as well, because I do. I definitely want to see both of them happen.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But shall we move on to the Hall of Fame?
Yes, let's move on to the Hall of Fame.
And now it is time for the Hall of Fame.
And now we are on to the Hall of Fame, in which myself and Heeroh battle it out to see which one of ourselves this week can get out into the Hall of Fame. And now we need the outcome of last week's Hall of Fame, which was for Best Technique. Myself chose the Beerus or Destroyer Hakai, and Heeroh, you chose Hit's Time Skip.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand you have the outcome.
I do. So, the outcome was pretty one-sided. More one-sided than I was expecting. Unfortunately, again, you pick up the win. And you are now ahead 3-2 as Beerus with the Hakai took the lead with 79% of the vote. Oh, that's a tough one to swallow.
Your boy.
Yeah.
You can't beat a Destroyer.
Those 21% of people who voted for Time Skip, I see you, and you're the people I like. Oh, yeah. I'm alienating myself from 81% of people.
79.
79.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
Beerus sees those people and he destroys them.
Great. Yep.
Well, so obviously this week we have another topic, and it's slightly more light-hearted, and it is which character deserved better.
Yeah, and since you won, you got to go first, so take it away. Who do you think? Who deserved better than what they got right now?
So my choice is everybody's favorite green character, Piccolo.
Not Dende?
No. So Piccolo, he's the boy. Love Piccolo. But if you think about it, what's he actually managed to really achieve since the start of Z?
Inner peace. I don't know.
He's-
He meditates a lot.
Basically, other than an adopted son. he had his moments, and he obviously managed to help defeat Raditz. He technically defeated Goku.
Yeah.
And then from then on, he had his sacrificial moment. He trained Gohan, and he was doing something, and he was growth as a character, and it was really, really good. And then after that, I mean, he defeated some Cybermen. He got flexed a little bit, but after that, he just didn't really do anything. He had all these evolutions and everything that just did nothing. He's basically Vegeta, but not quite. Like, he fused with Nile. He fused with Nile, and he's like a nail, and he's just he did nothing. He slowed Frieza down for 2 minutes, and then he gets annihilated.
Yeah.
Yep. He fuses with Kami, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're so powerful!" He goes up against 17, and he kind of goes head to head with him for a little bit, and he Hellzone grenades him and everything. And then it's like, oh yeah, his super powerful Hellzone grenade doesn't actually do anything to him because he just uses his big green ball, so he doesn't actually do anything. He batters Cell about in his first form when he first meets him, but then later, after Cell simply absorbed a couple of more humans, first form Cell absolutely ruins his day.
Yeah.
Like, and then just from then on, further and further and further, he just does nothing other than teaching moments and small teaching moments, like the fusion dance he helps with. So he has these little pop-up spots, and I just think for this character that was supposed to be so important, that he teetered off to become very little. He was the spawn of the Demon King Piccolo, and he basically just became an adoptive father to his nemesis, basically his son. Like, it shows growth as a character, but it just doesn't. He in himself hasn't really done anything, and now in Super, he's a babysitter.
Yeah.
And he has become Yamcha of the new one, because in the Black Arc, because I know you're going to pick Yamcha, I know for a fact you are.
Spoilers, come on.
I mean, you said it yourself, really, in the video arc. In the Black Arc, they want to do the evil containment wave, to trap Zamsu and everything because they're immortal. And they basically made Piccolo a joke because he obviously was, I know the evil containment wave because of Master Roshi and Piccolo using it against him. It's part of everything I know. And they're like, and Goku's like, no, it's all right. Roshi can teach me. See ya. And they basically boom and makes a YouTube video of him. Of him doing it, and then she's like, "There you go. Are you happy? At least I watched." And basically, it just makes a joke of him in that entire arc.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there is the Frost incident, where he finally starts to flex a little bit, and we see him split forms, and he's charging up, and we think he's finally going to do it. He's finally going to knock someone out. He's finally going to take someone down. We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for Piccolo to finally do something. And then Frost just nicks him in the arm and knocks him out. And it's like, are you serious? They've done him dirty. they've done him dirty, and you just can't believe it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I can't believe they've done this to him. And then the Tournament of Power comes around, and a invisible tiny green bug hits him and knocks him off the edge and knocks him out. Like, what the hell? He enters 2 tournaments and gets knocked out in the stupidest ways I've ever seen. Like, it's so ridiculous. And so he goes from being this evil spawn of Goku's, like of Demon King Piccolo, Goku's nemesis, to a babysitter who gets beaten in some of the most ridiculous ways possible. And it's just, he's become the fighter joke of Super. He's become the one who gets beaten. Like, Tien's always getting beaten in dumb ways, but it's never really been not that way to me.
I guess so.
He did it. He was good. He had his true shining moments. Like when he's beaten Goku, Tien, he has defeated Goku.
Yeah.
He's had his shining moment.
Mm-hmm.
Piccolo, he was this close to beating Goku, and then like he broke all his limbs and everything. He had him on the cusp, and then he still lost.
Yeah,
like Piccolo's never had any true moment, really. Like,
I guess so. Unless you count him killing Goku and Raditz at the same time, he must have got some kind of kick out of that. Just like, haha, yes, I finally did it. Yeah, but now I have to look up to this kid.
He didn't do it, but he didn't do it himself, really, did he?
True.
And it must be a sore point that to defeat an enemy, his nemesis had to hold him still for him. So even then, it's bitter. Like there's nothing really there. He's became the most positive points, and like I love Piccolo. He's one of my favorite characters. And this is why I feel they've done him dirty, and especially why I just think it's so like how they did him wrong against Frost and Demom and Universe Survival was just, it was painful to me.
Yeah.
And I just think they truly done him dirty because it's like he's always had his moments with like saving Gohan and everything like that, and it's like, but he's never had his win, I don't think. And I think he deserved a win. I think he should have defeated Frost, because it would have been like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. He's got his split techniques, he's got his mirror image, he's got his charge, and takes him out. And that would have been great, because it would have been something that we feel he deserves his moment. And didn't get it.
This is where the new movie that's coming out, Superhero, this is where this might rectify some of these damages to Piccolo, as it seems like Gohan and Piccolo are going to be the main two. So it'll be interesting to see. There'll definitely be some fights with Piccolo and Gohan, maybe together, maybe separately, and it'll be good to see. I think Piccolo will have his shining moment in this film. Since it seems like even though Goku and Vegeta are in the film, I think they're definitely going to take a bit of a backseat and not be around as much. So I'm looking forward to it. And, as you've just went through everything that Piccolo's done there, I kind of forgot that he's been put into this, like, backseat role where, he has been forgotten about a bit. Because I didn't realize it was quite that bad, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, like Goku and Vegeta and I guess Trunks are the only three that ever get much of a shine. Even Gohan, to an extent, doesn't really do too much since the Buu saga. Like, he hasn't done that much in Super, to be honest. So yeah, it's like, apart from the Saiyans, which makes sense, the show is around the Saiyans, but Piccolo was a huge part. And he hasn't done anything of note for quite a long time now.
Yeah, he has become a little bit of the amateur of Super. He's because he kind of makes me think like everyone will always remember that Yamcha self-destruction. It'll always be a big part of Dragon Ball Z, always. But when I think about it, that is one hell of a way for a character to go out. But if you think about it, Piccolo's had 2 terrible eliminations, like really bad ways to go out. Like, to me, it's 2-1 when you think about it. Whilst it's not mainly as obvious, he's been defeated in 2 very embarrassing ways, twice and more recently. And now he's just a babysitter to Japan. Teaching art. So I really hope this new film focuses more around them. I think it's going to focus a lot on Pan, and I think it's going to focus a lot more on Piccolo and that, because I just don't see how the Red Ribbon Army can be powerful enough to go up against gods. Like, I think they're going to be distracted. Something's going to have them, because what's going to be more androids, something like that. Like I'd be very. I do not know. Yeah, I do not know how they're gonna, the Red Ribbon, or how they're gonna step it up to beat gods. Like, that would be very impressive.
No.
I think it's going to be more Z fighters and Pan and hybrids based. Definitely.
The only thing I'm thinking is in the trailer they kind of mentioned, well, they showed something like a screen, and it had Goku, Vegeta, and Buu on the screen with these new guys, whoever they are, and there was like tubes on the wall and that type of thing, and I'm thinking, well, Cell was created from the cells of all of these world-class fighters, and that's how he's like a mixture of everyone, kind of. Maybe these 2 new guys are going to be similar, and maybe, they're going to be made of Goku, Vegeta, and Buu, like what they've shown, and that's why they're super strong, and it's going to be similar to Cell, except they maybe fuse. I'm only thinking they fuse because there's 2 of them that look very similar, and it would make sense, I guess, for them.
I would be incredibly disappointed by that, if I'm honest. Because that would be Robin from Cell and stealing from Android, what do you call him? The 13?
Yeah.
Trucker Hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he fused. He's an android that fused.
Yeah.
So they're basically taking a non-canon film from however many years ago, Cell Saga, and just combining them, and that would just be so lazy.
It's just my theory.
It's a good theory, because like it could work, but I really hope that they did such a good job with Broly that I've just got such high hopes for them that that's the thing. Like, Broly was just fantastic. It was 45 minutes of pure amazing fighting. I think the fight was fight screen was like 45 minutes or something insane like that.
That's right.
And not a second of it was bad. And I just want more of that. That's all I want.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Can you live up to these expectations? Like, the past few movies that I've done was Battle of Gods, which introduced Beerus and Whis, who are major characters. Then they did Frieza's Return, which was the first time seeing Frieza in forever, and him going golden, which was also huge because he is a fan favorite villain, the best villain on the show. And then doing Broly, who was everyone's favorite like movie villain, and turned him canon and set him, like, rebirthed him pretty much and did it right, and everyone was excited for that. Now we already know it's Red Ribbon, who, people know it's androids, but androids were never like the top tier, and these new villains being androids or whatever, related to the Red Ribbon Army in some way, it's not going to live up to the expectations of the other films. So I think it's still going to be a good film, but I can't see it being better. The animation could be better, because especially since they're doing a lot of CGI stuff as well as the animation and all the 3D work, it will look good, and there probably will be some good fights. But overall, as main villains, I can't see it being better than any of the last 3.
It's weird to think that selling that links in with Red Ribbon when you think about it. Yeah. Like, when I think back, if you told me that when I first watched Dragon Ball Z and talked about things like Red Ribbon, I wouldn't have had a clue what you're talking about when you're talking about Cell and everything like that. Like, I was just okay. I wouldn't have had a clue, but when you look back and link all the dots and everything like that, it's weird to think that everything actually ties in.
Yeah, and now you have the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, but I guess we'll just see how the movie goes, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, my pick anyway for
Yes,
who
gone on a
deserves
little bit of a
better.
tangent,
We
haven't
did. We talked about the movie for a bit there. But, you know, you kept mentioning, Piccolo's turned into the Yamcha of Super. Well, who deserves better than Piccolo? Yamcha deserves better than Piccolo. Alright? You made a joke out of him by comparing Piccolo to him, so of course Yamcha deserves better. And I could end my entire argument right here, and he deserves the win with nothing else even said. But let's just talk about him just a little bit, because Yamcha is incredible and he deserves the respect that hasn't been put on his name since original Dragon Ball, which is a long time ago. Like, how long ago? It was 1980s? Unbelievable. Almost 40 years of Yamcha being disrespected. It went on too long. So yeah, you've got to remember, in original Dragon Ball, Yamcha is introduced as this badass bandit fighter. You know, he's got a transforming cat sidekick. And, you know, he's running around training in the desert with his sword and everything. He's a cool guy, you know, you see him. And it's like, okay, yeah, Yamcha's like the older, better version of Goku at this point, you know? He's got the longer hair, he can fight, he's good. And his only downside at the time when you first meet him is that he's shy and he can't talk to women. You know, that's his one downfall, you know? He's shy, can't do anything. He gets embarrassed easy by any woman. But he did overcome that and he started dating Bulma. And good for him, you know, good for him. He's doing something that a lot of people have wanted to do, I bet. And the disrespect starts straight away from that point. It's all downhill from there, you know. Yamcha starts off strong, being a cool guy. He overcomes his shyness to date Bulma. And that's his peak. He peaked way, way, way too early. There is not another moment where anything is better for Yamcha. Because after that, you know, he's been training in the desert for years, so he wants to enter into the World Martial Arts Tournament to see how he fares against other people. And you've got to remember, this is a global event. Everyone in the world is available. And he becomes a top 8 fighter. You know, he gets through to the final 8. And this is Yamcha. You know, he is a strong fighter. Of course he's going to get through the final 8. But because of unfair matchups, he gets matched up against Master Roshi, who is Jackie Chun in this tournament, but he's in disguise. And Master Roshi just embarrasses him and eliminates him. And, of course, Master Roshi goes on to win that tournament. So that's just unfair matchup, you know. Yamcha got through the final 8. If he faced pretty much anyone else, bar maybe Goku, I think he could have beat Krillin. I think he could have beat anyone else in the final 8. But he got matched up against Master Roshi, who won it. That's just unlucky. That's fair enough. So next time he comes back, he tries to enter the tournament again. This time he gets matched up against Tien in the final 8. And Tien is the new antagonist of the arc at the time. He's the bad guy. He's the one that everyone's looking out for. And of course they've got to make Tien look strong, otherwise what's the point? So what do? He breaks Yamcha's leg. And because of that, Yamcha's eliminated. And not only is he eliminated from the tournament, he's completely wiped out of the storyline because Yamcha doesn't take part in the entire Demon King Piccolo saga at all because he's healing a broken leg because of Tien. So they completely disrespect him by taking him out the entire story. Never mind just losing a fight. There's more disrespect. Then the third tournament comes around. And again, he enters it. And he's like, right, this is my chance. The first time, you know, I got matched up against Master Roshi. That's just unlucky. Fair enough. He went on to win the entire thing. Second time, he gets his leg broken by Tien and is eliminated. Okay, fine. Third time, final 8 again. And who is his opponent? It's only God himself, Kami, in disguise as Heeroh as a human. And of course, Cammy embarrasses the hell out of Yamcha and even headbutts him in the balls. So, again, Yamcha completely disrespected by a literal god and is eliminated from the tournament.
But to be fair, it took God to take him down.
It did.
If anyone's gonna eliminate you, you want it to be God.
But out of all people, Cammy is completely embarrassing Yamcha as Heeroh. He's doing the fake moves, he's tripping up, he's kicking him, he's headbutting him, all this stuff. He's the clumsy fighter. That's kind of his nickname in this fight as Heeroh. And Yamcha gets completely embarrassed and eliminated. So again, disrespect on show for Yamcha here. Give Yamcha respect. It's needed. And after this, he's just like, right, okay, well, I've been embarrassed 3 times now. So you know what? Fighting might not be my thing, so I'm just going to go away because I'm still strong. I'm still fast. I can control ki. I can fly. I'm going to become a baseballer. And that's what he does. He goes on to become one of the best baseballers of all time, which is great. Good for him. He actually uses his power and his brain for something smart, whilst Goku's off on a farm, like harvesting vegetables and stuff for Chi-Chi. Yamcha's raking in the money as a baseballer, which fair play to him. That's smart. But he knows he can't fight anymore. And even from that point, Bulma breaks up with Yamcha, and Yamcha's left devastated by this, of course, and Yamcha's left on his own, and this is why he's kind of pushed into the background, because this is the point at the end of Dragon Ball where Yamcha takes a back seat, because in Dragon Ball Z, he's already a side player, he's not involved as much. He peaked during Dragon Ball, and you find out quite early in Dragon Ball Z, we have these 2 Saiyans coming to Earth. And Yamcha, of course, he spends a year of his life training to save the entire planet, along with everyone else, of course. But he is willing to sacrifice himself and fight to save the world. And what does he do? He is the first person to jump in there to try and take out some of these Cybermen. And it's going well until he's sneak attacked and exploded. And that's how Yamcha dies. The complete disrespect on show again. They made Yamcha be a little bit too cocky, a little bit distracted, and he dies.
Don't show off.
He is trying to prove that he's worthwhile. He's been embarrassed so many times, and he puts himself forward to be the first person to fight, and he's doing well. And again, they make him get embarrassed by getting blown up by this Cyberman who isn't even much of a threat, in all honesty, but yeah, Yamcha still dies to him. It's like, come on. What else is he supposed to do? He just spent an entire year of his life training, and then whilst he's dead, he finds out, his ex-girlfriend starts dating the guy who came to destroy the planet, and all of a sudden, she's pregnant and had a baby with him, and Yamcha's just there like, what happened? What happened? I did all of this for the world and to prove to Bulma that I'm a good guy, and yeah, okay, she goes off with the guy who tried to kill everyone. Great! And they've had a kid. And then, the disrespect comes even harder, because after this point, after the Saiyan Saga and after the Frieza Saga, he completely takes a backseat. He's no longer involved in anything much anymore. He helps out slightly with the Cell Juniors, but apart from that, that's kind of it. He gets killed by Dr. Gero, putting a hand through his stomach, his chest region, and he dies for a second time. And, he's just a backup.
He survives just because he gets senzued by...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
I don't know how he survives. Like, literally through his heart, but whatever.
Sense. Yeah, but now it's at the point where in Super, even the group doesn't care about him. Literally everyone else is better than Yamcha at this point, because he is standing there. He knows about the tournament power. He's like, yeah, they'll ask me. Don't worry about it. And no one even brings up his name. He's left alone with Poir, just thinking, yeah, they'll come see me soon. They'll ask soon. And nothing happens. And it's like, poor Yamcha. He's being completely disrespected that even his own friends have forgot about him. Who is he? Like, come on. He deserves better. Piccolo got mentioned. Piccolo went off to the tournament. Yamcha has been left in the dirt. He is a great fighter. He was a top 8 in 3 tournaments. He was just as strong as Goku at a time. And he tried to keep up the training all the way. Of course, he's not as strong. But as far as it goes with like Tien and Krillin, and maybe even Piccolo, probably not Piccolo, but he's still strong. He can hold his own, maybe against someone weaker, but you know, he's still one of the top fighters in the world. And even his friends don't even talk to him anymore or think about him. And it's so sad. And the one moment, he got one moment to shine. And that was when he was dead, because of course he only shines when he's dead. And the Ginyu Force go to King Kai's planet. He does defeat Recoome, which, fair enough, but that is his one thing that he manages to do in the entire show.
Disagree.
Disagree?
Disagree.
How can you disagree?
Yeah. Because he beats Goku. Basically, he defeats Goku in his entirety up until one moment, and that is when Bulma approaches him and scares him off. But he outright beats Goku. He fights Goku and defeats him, and he would have won the fight until his shyness. How many people can say they beat Goku to that level?
Yeah, but I mean, Tambourine defeated Goku.
People? Yeah,
you can't say Tambourine's better than you can't say Tambourine's better than Piccolo either. It doesn't happen.
Oh, actually, and he also didn't he go up against Tambourine as well, and I think, or at least one of Demon King's Piccolo's minions, he fought for a little while, and he held his own for a little bit, and he held his own with a broken leg. So he was getting beaten, but he was still holding his own a little bit with a broken leg. So that shows that he's got something in him. And I mean, and you said it yourself, he got to show off. He flexes the best baseball player. Can Piccolo say he was the best baseball player?
You can say he's the best driver out of all of them in the show, since he did take driving lessons.
Piccolo do?
He can drive.
The best babysitter of hybrid Saiyans. Like,
he's the best at meditating. He's the best at looking angry. He's the best at sitting cross-legged.
Yeah. But yeah, like not many. Like he full-on defeated Goku, other than Bulma turning up. Like Piccolo defeated Goku until Goku got a shot in. So Goku outright defended himself. Like he beat Piccolo. Whereas Goku did nothing of his own to stop Yamcha from beating him. It was somebody else's intervention that stopped it.
True, but obviously the power levels are a lot different at the time, and you can't exactly match up Goku then compared to when he was fighting Piccolo or anyone else.
You could say that about Z and Super, like it's
true, but you can say that. But of course, everyone does get stronger, but Yamcha doesn't get a big moment of shine again, and you know the thing where he beats Recoome doesn't even happen in the manga, so it's like it is filler, and it doesn't even really matter. You know, Yamcha, you can't. I refuse to accept that Piccolo deserves better than Yamcha. I refuse. And if this poll happens to take Piccolo's side, then I quit. I'm not doing this again.
No more Dragon Ball podcast.
No more Dragon Ball podcast. I'm threatening the podcast. Yamcha deserves this win.
No, I think Yamcha's had his one bad death. Piccolo's had his 2 bad eliminations. Don't care what anyone says. That's 2 embarrassments to 1.
Nah, Yamcha had 3 embarrassing tournaments. He had 3 embarrassing tournaments and didn't even get invited to the Tournament of Power. So, you know, it doesn't even compare. I'm not having it. You know, Yamcha deserves this win. And if you agree, you know, go check the polls. They're going to be on our social medias down below. And go check the comments. Leave a comment. What do you think as well? And we'll find out next episode who enters the Hall of Fame. And it will be Yamcha. But let's move on now to the hot take.
To the hot take.
Hot take.
So this is the hot take, the segment of the podcast where I have deep dived into the internet to find an interesting take that someone has left on some random forum on the corner of the internet. So we will discuss it. We'll see if we agree with it, think it's good, bad, whatever. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So this take that I have found, it says, it's a long one by the way, but it says, first, let me get this out of the way. I love lots of the post-Frieza content in Dragon Ball. The androids are great. I love Gohan beating Cell. I love Buu and Gohan in high school. And I'm a big fan of the Tournament of Power and Dragon Ball Super Broly. I appreciate all the Dragon Ball content we have and continue to get over the decades, but I enjoy it just as a casual popcorn show that I don't think too hard about. Okay. Dragon Ball was not always pure popcorn for me though. I absolutely fell in love with the characters and was super invested around the tournament and Red Ribbon sagas. The story started not serious and fun, then had a perfect ramp up of drama and stakes from tournament to Red Ribbon, then to King Piccolo and Piccolo Jr. as the Earth threats. After we got the introduction to the Saiyans and the incredible fights with Raditz, Nappa and Vegeta leading to the series turning spacebound, in the best arc of the whole series, the Frieza Saga. I can't overstate how much I love the Frieza Saga, especially the beginning. The incredible tension of Krillin and Gohan sneaking through Frieza's forces, severely outmatched to keep the Dragon Balls out of Frieza's hands, was spectacular. Then Goku going Super Saiyan and finishing Frieza was such a cathartic moment, and I really felt like the series would have been perfectly wrapped there. Then we got to the Cell Saga, and Trunks comes in and effortlessly kills Frieza, the strongest thing in the universe built up for over 100 chapters, and that was when I started to disconnect emotionally. Ever since that point, nothing felt special anymore. Any character going Super Saiyan, there's always a bigger bad guy than the last, that's 10 times as strong, even though Frieza can destroy planets. And we just keep retreading the same type of content over and over and over again. What's worse is once we hit the Buu Saga, almost every character has no development at all. Every single person from the Buu Saga to present day Broly movie is an exact snapshot of themselves at the start of Buu. I think the show should have wrapped up at the Cell Saga. What do you think about that? That's a long one. What do you think?
There's a point in there that I agree with. The very last point, just hard disagree. Hard disagree, and we've discussed that. Like, I have to jump on that part straight away and just say Vegeta. Like, Vegeta from the Buu Saga up until now becoming a family man is
completely different.
Yeah, it's a totally different character. Like, his atonement, his going back to his Martian roots, his atonement, his becoming a family man, stopping training to wait for the birth of his child. I know there's a bit of contention about whether or not he's sticking with it, but his choice to step away at the end of the Tournament of Power and not follow into Goku's path. I know people are saying that that's not really going to happen and things, but still, the fact that he said it's going to happen, like all of that, the fact that, that's a prime example of one character who is outright changed. Like, so no, there's a hard disagree in that. I don't see how that makes any sense. And to just brush all of that aside doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I will always agree with the whole there's always going to be a bigger bad. But what TV show that of any type that exists over a period of time that's any form of action in any way is not that?
Exactly. Like, we all know every show where there's fights and stuff, the main guy is going to overcome and be stronger. Just look at EastEnders, for example. Phil Mitchell is always going to take down whoever comes on Albert Square and tries to take over. It's always going to happen.
But it's like any anime that has any form of of power or anything like that will be exactly the same as well. It's like, it's just the same. Like, you defeat a bad guy, you can't just bring in someone just as powerful, because the protagonist will just be like, well, I've beaten someone like you before, so I'll just beat you again. They have to be stronger in some capacity, or they have to be smarter, or in some way they have to be better. And I wouldn't say that you could, like, I think Cell and Frieza are two very different enemies. Boo is very simple, I would say. I don't really care for Boo as a bad guy. I don't really care for him massively. But Cell, like, Frieza is just basically, he's just Space Hitler. Basically, he's got a Napoleon complex, and so he just wants to take over everything. It's just what his character is. And he's and everybody knows that. But Cell, he wants to be the perfect being. I mean, his entire arc is him is you have the androids and you think, oh, okay, these are the bad guys. But it turns out they're not the bad guys. No. They're just the mini bad guys. There's actually the big thing that's going to prey on these and become. So you've got this whole build, like, you never would have seen, like, out of anywhere, like when Trunks appears and knocks out and takes out Frieza and says these androids are coming. There is no hint in any way, shape, or form that Cell's an issue.
Exactly.
Like, that's never going to be an inclination that by the end of this, Gohan's going to be the big bat, going to be the savior, and like the true savior. I know we've seen that there's a bit of foreshadowing, but not to the level that we've seen, and that Cell's going to be a thing, and that entire story is very, very different than the Frieza story. But I see what they mean about there's always going to be a bigger bad, but that's always going to be the case. I think if you're okay with going to space and stuff like that, then I don't really see how you can have a massive issue. I think that's more of a personal taste issue than anything else.
Yeah, I agree with some of the points that this person said. Like, I do kind of miss the martial arts based style that Dragon Ball originally had, and even the start of Dragon Ball Z, where it was fully based on martial arts, no more ki blasts or anything, no big fights in space and all that stuff, but just hand-to-hand combat. And, you know, I do miss that to an extent, and how it was more lighthearted, a lot more jokes, which in Dragon Ball Z, they kind of toned down on a lot. Like, original Dragon Ball was very jokey, and it also had a lot of serious moments, and it meshed well together. Dragon Ball Z, they definitely toned down on the jokes and made it a bit more serious. And then in Dragon Ball Super, they did bring the jokes back, which is good. There is a lot of funny moments in Dragon Ball Super, especially with the newer characters, with Beerus and Whis, and their interactions with people as well. So that's good, and I like that. That's one of the things I like the most about Super, is the fact that there is these funny moments that haven't happened in a long time. Like, Dragon Ball has been a serious anime for quite a while with Dragon Ball Z, so I'm happy they brought that back. And I understand where he's coming from, because I think when any Dragon Ball fan talks about Dragon Ball and they're talking about their favorite sagas or favorite fights, no one goes straight to Super. And, you know, most people don't go to original Dragon Ball. They always say Dragon Ball Z. And their favorite fights usually are against Frieza or against Cell, because these are the two biggest moments in the entire show. And, you know, there's no hugely standout fight in Super where people can say, oh yes, I like this fight better than any other fight, apart from potentially the Broly fight. But that's, you know, that's a movie only fight right now. It's not even show canon right now, until they redo it in the show, if they do the anime again,
or at least address it.
Or at least address it. Yeah. So, but now, you know, obviously the movie fights are going to be better than the show fights, because they have to be. It's a movie. So yeah, I understand the downturn, and there is a lot of stuff about the Boo saga that a lot of people don't like, including myself. But saying that everyone's the same from the Boo saga to now, you mentioned Vegeta. I'm going to mention Gohan. Like, Gohan definitely has the biggest transformation. He becomes a dad. He stops fighting altogether after the Buu saga. He turns into a family man, and he's now like a skinny guy with a kid, looking after Videl and Pan. And it's just like, that's who he is, and he only fights when he's forced back into it to defend the world again. Which is because of Goku again. Great dad. But yeah, like, Gohan, of course, had a massive change. He is definitely not the same as he was at the end of the Buu saga. Vegeta's not the same, like you mentioned. He becomes a bit more of a family man as well. And, you can argue that Krillin and Android 18, they're completely different. They're a family now, fully with a kid. And 18 doesn't get involved in as many fights until, again, she's needed for the Tournament of Power. Krillin's a policeman. All this stuff. A lot of people do change. And yeah.
I mean, Videl, she gets introduced as a fighter and goes from being a full-on fight. Like, she has an entire arc. Like,
Yeah.
I know she's not a main character, but she goes from being a full fighter. She gets a mini arc. She goes from being a fighter to being a mother. So you get a new person coming in and changing in their entirety. And I know a lot of people don't like the fact she's a mother now and they miss the fight part of her, but it shows that there are people who have come in and changed. There aren't just cut out characters that have appeared and changed and stayed the same, rather.
Maybe this is like a surprise thing that we're going to see in the movie, because of course Pan is heavily focused in the trailers, as is Gohan. Where's Videl? Videl is the mother after all. Like, is she gonna have a part in the movie where she's fighting? Maybe Pan gets kidnapped or something, and she's also
could
fighting.
Be training Pan.
Yeah,
she could be the one training.
She could be the one training Pan, and that would be cool to see.
She knows how to handle Ki, doesn't she? So they could have been doing it together. You never know. Like, they could have been after Buu or something like that. Videl could have been a bit worried, or something, or you don't know. So yeah, it's potential.
Yeah, exactly. So,
because Chi trained Goten, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
So it would make sense for Videl to train Pan, especially since Gohan never wanted to be much of a fighter. It would make sense that Videl, the hothead, fiery one, who was originally introduced, is the one training a baby to fight. I guess it would make more sense than Gohan doing it, even though they really tamed Videl a lot in Super by turning her into a mom, and she's no longer this fiery hothead anymore. She is just, I don't want to say boring, but she turned boring. And I really like Videl as well, but she did change and she doesn't do anything anymore. So yeah, it'll be good to see her kind of go back to her roots, become a teacher.
She was actually, I'm not going to lie, she was one of my considerations for the Deserve Better. I actually was looking up some clips and everything for her, but I just didn't think she was enough of a main character, and I think there was much more involved characters. But I did look into it just a little bit, and I looked into like her mini training montages and everything, and I watched the clips of Gohan training her, and it was really like a really interesting episodes and really interesting scenes, and like how she was surely intense and everything like that, and there were really good interactions. And then it's just kind of like they were flying during the Buu time. She was like, she found out it was him who was obviously defeated Cell, and then she was like, "I'm slowing you down, see ya," and then she's a wife. It's like, okay, right, fair enough. That's the last of it.
Yeah,
so it was a bit of a shame. Yeah,
it is a shame, but I mean, this guy also said like he does enjoy a lot of the bits after the Cell Saga. Like, he mentioned Gohan at school, which again I really like that as well. It showed a different side, an adult, like an older Gohan, and meeting Videl and all that stuff with the Saiyaman and all that. But I can see his argument for ending at the Cell Saga. It would have been a natural ending to the show, I think, where they could have followed through with their original plans of making Gohan the new lead, and they could have easily started the next series, or stop Dragon Ball Z there and make the next Dragon Ball something else after that, with Gohan being the new main character. They could have done that, and Z would have been a good ending with the Cell Saga. It would make sense because Goku's dead. Gohan just beat the main villain. It makes sense. But I can also see their points where, you know, it is a bit samey and it did get toned down a bit and isn't as good as it used to be. But overall, I'm going to have to disagree with this take.
I think there is a nice little thing as well as going back to original Dragon Ball is like when Master Roshi was Jackie Chun and he got knocked out basically by Krillin and he saved himself using a Kamehameha, and how it blew everyone's mind that he managed to use this ability to save himself, how that's a thing that he managed to do. It's like, that's impressive, whereas obviously that sort of thing is just impossible now in Dragon Ball. So it's like, it's a scale difference. So yeah, I can see why while it's on a smaller scale, it would be more impressive, and how it's a lot easier to get invested. So yeah, I can see there are points that I would agree with, but I think it's very printed way too broad a brush for me to be able to agree with the point. Like,
there's too much of Dragon Ball Super that I enjoy. All of the new characters for the most part. I mean, there is a lot of bad characters as well, but most of the new characters that were introduced are good, like Beerus, Whis, Hit, Jiren to an extent, Toppo, all of them really good characters that I want to see more of. And yeah, they could have went in a different direction after Cell, but I'm kind of glad they didn't. You know, I like Gohan, and I know this isn't a popular opinion at all, but I like what they've done with the Gohan character, turning him into a scholar who is a family man. You know, he turns into this wacky superhero for a while, and, you know, they do downplay him in a way, but I like that because that's who Gohan is. He was this goofy kid, scholar, who was forced to fight, and now that he's not forced to fight, he's kind of living out his childhood years as a teenager, being a bit more comical, acting out a bit, because he doesn't have as much responsibility as he did have, where he had to save the world twice as a kid. So yeah, I like what they did, and then they made him settle down, which, good for him. I'm all for it.
Well, Trunks even addresses it when he comes in Super during the Black Arc. He comes to see him, and he's like, he gets to see him against the future Gohan, and he's really happy for him.
He's overwhelmed.
He's like, it blows his mind,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, it totally blows his mind. But you find out he has a family and everything. It's a nice little. It's only a very short part of an episode, but it's very nice.
Yeah, I really like that.
And I think, yeah. I think it's nice to see that the super powerful character isn't constantly forced into being the savior. It's like sometimes like
that's Goku.
They're allowed to be themselves. Yeah.
Goku's
It'll always be Goku. It'll never not be Goku.
Exactly.
It'll always be Goku.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm fine with that. You know what you're getting into with Dragon Ball. You know Goku's going to be the main character. And all of the side characters do get their little moments here and there, especially Vegeta, I guess, and not so much the others. But, you know, Goku, for the most part, he is the main character. And it's the same with literally any anime ever. The main character does most of the work, and that's just what happens. So what do you expect? What do you expect? But yeah, as far as this take goes, I don't think it's a horrible take, but I will disagree with it overall.
Same. I think it's way too vague, despite how long it is.
Yeah, despite how long it is. Yeah, it was a mouthful. But yeah, this has been a longer episode of the podcast. It has been a good one, though. I've enjoyed it. And
very much so.
Very much. I hope everyone who is watching and has made it along this far has enjoyed it too. And if you have, please check out our social medias down below. Don't forget to vote in the polls for the Hall of Fame. Like up the video, subscribe down below, and other than that, we will see you all next time.
For another discussion.